Good evening, all you Minties, and welcome back to another episode of Reelz Talk with your host, the amazing Amanda, and my lovely co-host, the Uncanny Omar.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody been? It's been a week since we last did this.
Yeah.
Hope
So,
everybody. Yep, you go ahead.
no, I hope everyone's doing good. Very excited today to talk about. So, what we're doing is another comic versus movie face-off. It's going to be because I hope everyone's doing good. And I just heard myself.
I heard you too. That's on me. That's on me. That one's on me.
Yeah, no problem. Anyway, so yeah.
What are we doing? What is it that we're doing today?
Yeah, today we are doing The Loser. So it's a little bit of a, I guess, departure from superheroes, which is kind of nice. And we're going into some different territory today. So we're going to be talking about The Losers comic, the first 12 issues, which were the ones that were the main inspiration for the adaptation, the movie The Losers, which came out in 2010. So we'll be talking about both of those. We'll kind of go over some of the similarities, some of the differences, and then talk about what worked, what didn't, and which one we ultimately liked better. Am I talking about you, Michael? I don't know.
Are you? Yeah, not yet. What's up, Ace? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Ace, how's it going? Hi, Dad. Hi, Auntie.
What's up, Lionheart? Yeah, so this was a pretty interesting there have been comic book movies that when people watch them, they probably don't think that, hey, this is based on a comic book. I can think of things like History of Violence or Road to Perdition. Mm-hmm. And I think Losers lay somewhere there too, that this doesn't really strike as a comic book type of movie. So I think when most people think of comic book movies, they probably think of Avengers or Batman. And this is somewhere in the middle. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Exactly. Drunken Sailor. What the F is The Losers? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. It was a comic book created by Andy Diggle and Jock. And Jock is like top. Dude, that guy's artwork is phenomenal. His cover art is wonderful.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about the comics here in a second. But I'm going to let Amanda lead. And you tell me how we're going to do this. How we do this.
Oh, yeah. So let's first talk about the comic. So the comic came out between 2003 to 2006. It is from the DC's imprint Vertigo. And I think this is actually a Warner Brothers production, so that kind of makes sense. And it is on HBO Max, the movie itself. So if you wanted to watch it after you hear us talk about all this, get on HBO Max. The movie's right there for you to view for free. If you have HBO Max, if you, I guess, live in the United States mostly. But yes, so it was written by Andy Diggle, as Omar said, illustrated by Jock, and pretty much it centers around this group of kind of, on the run ex-CIA military soldiers, agents who are supposed to be dead, but they aren't really dead. So basically they have been in hiding for a number of years. And their mission is to pretty much track down someone called Max, who was their handler at the time, who exposed them or had basically tried to have them killed. And through this, they're also exposing the CIA for being pretty much corrupt. Through this, they've met someone called Aisha, and she is, in this one, she is, I believe, from somewhere in the Middle East. So it's a different take, and we'll talk about the movie, but she's somewhere from the Middle East, but she's also works for the CIA. So that's kind of plays into her backstory a little bit, as far as when we get to see her in these issues, as far as her backstory. And she comes to them, trying to help them, kind of give them, clear their name, and in essence, let them live a normal life, and help them take down Max and the CIA, etc. And so in the issues that we read in the comics, it is basically this team. You have Clay, who's the leader, and you have Roke, who's kind of a pessimistic guy who has obviously, we're talking about spoilers, guys, just to let you know.
About the first 12 issues and the movie.
Yes. So Rogue, who turns out to be a double agent, or basically betrays them in this comic. Then you have Aisha, And then you have Jensen, who's kind of their tech guru guy. Pooch, he's pretty much the guy who's their muscle, if you will, and he's always driving the helicopters, riding the motor cars. And then you have what's his name, Cougar, and he's their sniper, very excellent sniper, by the way. And there's a couple of scenes in this comic that you actually see straight out of the movie as well. For instance, in one scene when Jensen has to go infiltrate this insurance agency's database and get into this, large corporation's headquarters. And when he gets caught, he pretends to shoot the guys and he tells them he has telekinesis, but it's really Oscar, Oscar's the actor's name, I'm sorry, Cougar, who's all the way at the other side. This happens in the book and in the movie. And he's shooting them down because he's that good of a sniper. He's fantastic. And so they go through a series of events to kind of figure out what the CIA is up to or what Max is up to. And even the CIA, there's a guy named, I believe, Samson, who's saying, who's Max? We don't have a Max. That's not a real, that's just a general handler name. It's not an actual person. It could be anyone. I think you've been played. I think there's a misunderstanding. And you also have another guy called Wade, who's kind of in the picture as well. And he's from a different kind of secret ops, kill for hire kind of organization called Park, I think is the name. And he's kind of working for Max, if there is a Max, and essentially killing all these people who know what happened way back when this original team, the losers, was supposed to be killed, but actually weren't not killed. And so that gentleman plays a part as well. And as they go through the motions of trying to reveal, oil, drug money, you name it, the big thing they're trying to do is they're trying to infiltrate this big deal that goes down on this boat that's about to take off. And when it happens, Roke ends up double crossing them with Wade. And while he tries to escape in the ensuing fight, of course, he ends up getting killed. So does Wade in a very dramatic fashion on his motorcycle. And they end up not necessarily getting their lives back, but they too, in the comic, we get to see them go through, kind of a period where they get to see their families for a little bit. For example, Pooch has a wife and 2 kids, and he ends up getting to see them on their break. Meanwhile, Cougar's back in Mexico, and Jensen is out still doing his work, for them, trying to uncover. So they recovered this, computer database, and he's been trying to hijack it and encrypt it or unencrypt it so they can figure out what they need to figure out as far as where can they find Max. And that's the whole idea. They want to prove Max is real. Meanwhile, Samson, the gentleman from the CIA who's like, Max does not exist, he is basically letting them, he contacts someone else, Stigler, and he's like, so it looks like this Max person who could be very old, gentlemen, if it is in fact one person throughout the entire time.
Or dead.
Yeah, we see this shadowy figure very rarely.
He said that he's only seen his eyes. And every time you say Aisha, I think of that song too. I can't help but think of that. Do you know that? I think this might be a little too old for you. I think you were still in grade school.
It is a little too old for me.
So there was a group called ABC growing up, and they were under the Boyz II Men label. So what did they stand? It stood for Another Bad Creation, and that was one of their songs. That and Spider-Man and Playground. It was just a group of little kids. And this is one about the girl that one of them had a crush on.
Yeah, definitely. I think went over the. Yeah.
So long before NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, there was ABC.
Yes. Was this before? After Jackson 5?
Oh gosh, yeah. This is probably late 80s, early 90s, 1990, right around the time oh my gosh, I ain't too proud to beg. TLC.
Okay, so late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, so it wasn't. Yeah. I'm still a little bit too young to really catch.
Yeah, I think even though that group was geared towards kids, whereas Boyz II Men, of course, were geared towards adults. I think you were still, because I was in the 7th, 8th grade, so you must have. Yeah, you were younger. So.
Yes.
I've never heard. Yeah, you never heard of that, huh? Leo probably.
You probably never heard some of the bands we talk about on this show.
Yeah. You come here to learn, not the Temptations. No,
No, they're a
younger.
little older. Yeah.
So this is pretty interesting because we read the first 12 issues of the Losers, and I'll be honest with you, the Losers was I used to have both the complete collections, and I got rid of them. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. I love Jock as an artist, like a cover artist.
Yeah.
And his Green Arrow year 1 is so good. I don't know. There's just something about the art in this that I didn't get. I know we're not reviewing the comic, but the reason I got rid of it was because the internal artwork, like, it just lacked something. And a lot of it had to do with the backgrounds. Like, there were no backgrounds in some of these frames. And I don't know. It's just kind of boring. The story was like, it's the A-Team, but with a little more F-bombs.
Yes. Interestingly enough, we'll talk about that in a second when we get to the movie.
Oh, okay.
But no, you're right. So I had never read the comic. Obviously, I think I'd seen the movie first. I don't know if I saw the movie exactly when it came out. So the movie itself came out
in 2010. I really thought this was like 2003, 2004.
April 23rd, 2010 is when it came out. But so when I read the comic, obviously I'd seen the movie first. So the differences stuck out right away. And the artwork at first I was okay with it, but you're right. There is something lacking, especially in the later issues. And I don't know if it's just a matter of rushing through it, but there was something lacking in some of the characterizations and things like that. But I did like some of how the panels were laid out. I know it's not a review, but I guess it kind of is because we're going to have to say which one's better at some point, right?
We do have to say which one is better overall. So we have to think about the things that we didn't enjoy about the series or about the comic, and the things we didn't enjoy about the movie, and vice versa. But what's interesting is that they really borrowed elements from the first 6 issues for the movie. There's a little bit of issues 7 through 12 that they add later on, but then they change things up. And it was a fast movie. I'm not gonna lie. This movie was quick. It was an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, not very long. Yeah, it is a pretty fast movie. And so
came out after Fantastic Four. I don't know. That kind of boggles my mind because I really thought this was 2003, like that era.
Well, let's give you a little bit of background on this movie. So, Losers, the movie, came out in April 2010. It originally was supposed to be directed by Tim Story, who did direct both Fantastic Four movies, the first one and Surfer, but he dropped out, and then they hired on Sylvan White, who has done a lot of episodes of different TV shows recently, like The Umbrella Academy, Hawaii Five-0, the remake they did recently. But he was also the director of Stomp the Yard, which makes sense now knowing why he casted Columbus Short as Pooch in the movie, because Columbus Short is the main character in Stomp the Yard. My husband.
I have not seen that guy. My wife was asking what I'm watching, and she recognized, and my wife has like face blindness. She recognized like Idris Elba and Zoe, but everybody, she couldn't even, like, Chris Evans had glasses on. She's like, the guy, that guy played Pooch. I did not.
You won't see him much anymore. He was in Scandal for a while, the TV show, but then as soon as he got some domestic violence stuff against him, he kind of faded from the spotlight in the last several years. Yeah. So you won't see a lot from Columbus Short for a while, I think. Anyway, so what's interesting in the movie is it didn't make a ton of money. It made about $23.6 million domestically, 29 worldwide. And the problem probably is this movie came out about a month and a half before a bigger movie with, at the time, probably a more star-studded cast came out, and that is The A-Team, starring Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper.
Are you serious?
Shartlo Copley, who is the main character from District 9. That premiered in June 2010, right at the beginning.
I forgot about that movie. I haven't seen that movie.
I actually watched it I went and watched it right after it's on Hulu. So as soon as I watched The Losers, I watched this, and I was like,
what is this?
Dang, these are very similar premises. And that movie, while this only made 23 million domestically, that movie made 100 million domestically. So you could tell who had better marketing and better all around. And that was The A-Team, unfortunately.
You said it. That had Liam Neeson. This is the time. This is like Zoe's first big role. in a superhero movie. Gosh, I
It
can't.
is.
When
Yeah.
did Star Trek come out? Because I feel like Star Trek is the movie that kind of put her.
I believe Star Trek didn't come out till about 2011, maybe.
Okay, so it was before this. All right, and what about old dude that looks like Javier? What's his name from No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, Jeffrey D. Morgan. I mean, he still wasn't Negan at this time. He was still fresh off of his.
Oh, wait, that picture right there looks nothing like he does in the movie. Like I was like, they must have casted like the Mexican version stand-in for him, because seriously, look at him, man. It doesn't look anything like him.
Yeah, like right here where he looked.
Oh my god, that song made me want to blow my brains out though.
Yeah, it's definitely different look. But yeah, at the time, Jeffrey D. Morgan wasn't particularly. I mean, he was fresh off of Grey's Anatomy, had some, I believe, romantic comedy kind of starring roles, but he wasn't Negan yet. He didn't have that cult.
Leo's saying Star Trek came out in 2009, so this was after her first movie in Star Trek. So between Star Trek and Beyond Darkness, or whatever the second one was called, so she was a little bit known. So I mean, she was recognizable. And this is definitely before Colombian. What the heck was it called? Colombiana, no?
Colombiana, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When she played that's definitely, I believe so, because
he was the comedian. That's right. He was in Watchmen.
Right. He was in Watchmen
and he was in Supernatural. So I'll be honest. I've seen 2 episodes of Supernatural because my brother said he forced me, but I don't even know when that show started. That show's been on for what, 10, 12 years?
Yeah, I think it has its final season already aired, or is it airing? I don't even remember. There's too long for me to even try to start binging it. It's fine.
Watchmen was in 2009. So right around, and honestly, when I saw him in Watchmen, I thought it was Robert Downey Jr. as the comedian. I do remember in the theater, like, I'm like, oh, it's Robert Downey Jr. That's an odd choice for the comedian. Like, that's not Robert Downey Jr. Who is this guy?
Asper, you're right. Oh, sorry.
No,
you're right. I don't remember seeing The Losers. I saw the A-Team in theater, so I think this movie suffered a little bit for that in terms of marketing, and probably because they're both very similar, right? It's a elite team of ex-military or CIA that end up getting framed for something and have to go into hiding and have to prove their innocence, right? It's the same exact premise for both movies, essentially. This one's a little bit grittier, I will say that, mainly because I think but
what was this rated?
That's a great question. I didn't write down the rating. I just wrote down the.
I'm asking that because of that stupid song that plays during the sex scene
when they're having sex so much. I know they do sex scenes a lot.
They're having sex with their panties on. God, that throws me off. I know I've complained about that on shows before, when people have their clothes on. But the reason I'm asking was because they had those scenes, but they didn't have, like, in the comics. What is it?
PG-13.
Oh, so no nip slips.
Yeah, nope. That's why the panties are on. It's got to be.
This was a Vertigo book. It only lasted 24 issues or so.
Yeah.
The differences in the movie and the comic, though, is that in the movie, Max, you see him throughout the whole thing.
Yes, and that's one of the elements. I've got to be honest. I know but that's one of the elements I really didn't like about the movie. I didn't like the actor who played Max.
Wait. First of all, the actor's phenomenal. That guy, I love him.
Really? I thought he was boring.
That's the guy from Lost Boys, man. I love that dude.
Yeah, but I found him boring. Okay. And then the actor was also very boring to me.
But this guy, the character that he played in this movie was so annoying. I think they were trying to go for borderline, edgy and funny. It just didn't work, and it didn't work with his kind of I don't know. I'm used to him being a serious. I forgot he was in the second Speed movie too. He hasn't really done a lot.
He can't do that weird eccentric sarcasm as well as it was almost like they were trying to do the Jesse Eisenberg of.
Okay, let's not. No. I was thinking of like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds would have pulled that off. Like Ryan Reynolds has the ability to pull off a role like that. Jason Patrick just, didn't do it.
So that's a big difference. Is he's in it throughout.
What's up with Noodles? Haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. And this guy right here, we're not talking about.
Did
you watch the Zack Snyder cut, man? All right.
I thought he was on there when we watched it. Yeah, but another big difference between the movie and the comics is also as far as like locations and stuff. For instance, I believe everything that happened to them was kind of in Afghanistan in the comics, where in here it's in Mexico. And Zoe Saldana's character, obviously, they probably changed it up because of her own ethnicity. But instead of her, she turns out to be the drug lords or, daughter. And that's kind of the reason why she's working with them. Not only to bring down Max, because Max was the reason that her father's dead in a way, but also because Clay killed her father in the beginning of the movie. But in addition, her ethnicity is a little bit different in this too. Obviously, some of the ethnicities, some of the other characters like Rogue has changed as well. But even then, he still has the scar. They still try to keep some of that all together as far as that's concerned too. And the mystery, right, is a little bit different from the movie to the comic. It's like they had to streamline it. For example, the comic starts off with them already being in hiding. And they give you backstory as you go along. Hey, Oxme Pete. But you don't really see that initial, like, what happened to them that caused them to go into hiding. And in the movie, they're only in hiding for a few months before she approaches them. Whereas the same kind of action that takes place in the comic actually doesn't happen until 5 years after whatever happened to them actually happened. So that's a big stark difference, is the time that takes place between, and then also where the comic starts, where the movie starts. The movie starts at the beginning, which again is just like the A-Team. Man, they really should have done some recon before they did these movies to figure out how similar they were going to be.
But I think that does happen sometimes, though, in movies. Production companies try to rush something out. I'm mainly thinking of Canon Pictures trying to rush out all these movies that were popular, like Lambada and The Forbidden Dance, or late what was it, A Bug's Life and Ants coming out that same summer.
Oh God,
sometimes things, I don't know. But one of the things that they did in this movie also, and I'm sorry, is it called race swapping? Is that what it's called?
I guess yeah.
I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they went with somebody that looks completely different than the main character, because in the comic book it gets kind of confusing between the two characters of
Clay. I couldn't tell the difference sometimes either. Yes, because Jensen's very distinct. And of course, Cougar is, because he has the hat. The sniper has the hat on, and Pooch was the only black guy in the whole thing. So that was easy. Yeah. But those two were very hard to distinguish. So I am glad they kind of changed that up.
Yeah. So they did change that up, and actually, I just saw some news today that I wanted to bring up a little bit later. Speaking of race swapping and Sandman, I just saw the latest for that. Yeah, Jock and Face, but his covers are awesome, and his movie posters are phenomenal. I like him. I think I appreciated the humor a little bit more. I don't know. Yeah, there are elements that I like about the movie, and the elements I liked about the comic more. And this is not the episode where we're like, oh man, the comic sucked or the movie sucked. It's more of which one was better. What did you think of Chris Evans as this character? What's his name?
Jensen. Well, I mean, let's face it, he's a very charismatic guy. I mean, we get a lot of very great, like this scene, and this is directly out of the comic too, where he's not singing. He's not singing "Don't Stop Believing" in the comic. He's singing something else that I did not recognize.
Did you find this funny?
Not as much as I thought I was going to.
Okay. I thought of you as I was watching this, going, I bet Amanda's laughing.
But no, I wanted to laugh, and it was kind of cute. But that was some of the issues I had. Maybe with the writing of the movie itself. But so I just. And like this is another scene. This is kind of cute scene, and of course
that was cool. That was from the first volume. That was really cool. Where he was like, "I have Well, no, he said, I have." The government kidnapped me and did scientific experiments. Yeah. Which is funny because this is right around the time when he signed the deal with Marvel to do the Captain America.
Exactly.
But in the comic book, he brings up the fact he's like, that kid from Akira's got nothing on me. And I thought that was really funny. They can't really do that in the movie.
No, but I mean, once I read the comic, though, then I envisioned him a little bit. I was like, man, maybe he should have been a little bit older, maybe almost a little bit leaner, almost a little bit nerdier. Because it's hard for Chris Evans like to really sometimes portray nerdy. There's a reason he plays the Freddie Prinze Jr. wannabe in not another teen movie, because he doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
No, hold that thought. Okay, this is a really good question. What is the difference between reading a novel and reading comics? I think to some people, reading a comic book feels like watching a music video, than when you're listening to the song. Because when you're listening to a song, you envision the things that are happening within the song. And music videos have a tendency to show you this is what's happening. Whereas comic books are kind of like that. And that's why some people prefer novels, some people prefer comic books. But it's a combination of both the artist and writer telling you a story, kind of like a movie. And I think it's a wonderful medium. Like it is different than reading a novel, though. My wife has a harder time reading comics. It takes her longer because she likes to study the panels. Like she loves looking at pictures. There are panels that are missing that you yourself use your imagination to fill in the blanks, and all that can be found in Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. But
do you want me to go grab it so we can show it to everyone?
Sure, if you want to. I strongly suggest anybody that is, starting to read comics, or even veterans of comic book reading, this book right here is one of the greatest guides that you could have to reading comics. It will make you appreciate comics so much more. Because he goes into just the psyche of it, like what makes it work, why it's a medium that only certain stories can be told. Thank you, Amanda. Vanna White. It's a medium that only works with certain stories, and I completely agree with that. There are certain stories that they've tried to make into movies, never works. As a parent, which one will you recommend? Novels? As long as my kids are reading,
that's all that matters.
It matters to me, man.
Yeah.
That's like, I know, I don't speak for everybody, but as long as my daughters are reading, they can read novels, they can read books, they can read comics. So whatever they want to do and read.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I'm a novel reader first and foremost. So that's what I've done growing up. That's why I was an English major in college. And I do enjoy the comic medium, but I do like being able to use my own imagination, which is also why I guess I'm a writer too, is because as an author, the author of a novel has to really describe to you in a way, like whether it be, showing you or just showing you or telling you, depending on how they want to do it when they're writing, to get you to understand what their world looks like. And that's what you can always tell with a good novelist, is if they can really entrench you in the world they're trying to create and engross you in these characters where you don't have an image in front of you. It has to be in your mind. And that works for some people. It doesn't work for all people. But for me, novels have always been my bread and butter, and something that, I'm on it right now. I'm on a kick of a bunch of YA novels. I've been like crazy reading.
I'm glad they haven't gone away. I'm glad, I thought that was going to be a fad for a while with Harry Potter, and then what was it? The series of unfortunate events. And I guess in a way, YA novels have always been there. It's just, that's what it was the fad of adults reading YA novels, right? Because kids have always, like, growing up, you read YA novels or what you just call novels growing up. Yeah. But there was a certain time when you would see adults reading things like, what was the Aragorn and all these books that were geared towards young adults. I love it. I love that it's still there.
Exactly. I agree. And I don't think it's gone away, especially I think with the advent of like Instagram and Facebook, with Facebook groups, now people like me have a place to go where there's other people who can talk about it.
Let's see the design. This is it. It's the Avengers and Marvel characters. Well, they added Spidey over here. It's from T Turtle. My wife got it for me. So what in the comic worked for you better than the movie?
So as far as the comic is concerned, what worked better for me was the idea of being dropped right in the beginning, dropped right in the middle of the action and getting to know the characters through it. I preferred that, like, as far as instead of starting with the backstory of how they ended up being the losers, I kind of liked it already. Like, here we are the losers. We've already established ourselves. Here's a great introduction to the characters. Let's move forward with what the main story is. I think that worked better for me than it did in the movie, because then it makes the movie has to go on and explain so much more. Whereas in the comic, they were already working with Aisha. So like, let's introduce her and let's create. It was already a thing, and then through the dialogue and everything, we can tell. Okay, Roke doesn't necessarily like her. There's clearly a relationship going on between Clay and Aisha, and we're not really quite sure where her background is and if she's really a good guy or if she's really playing them. So all that, instead of it, because sometimes they really played that out heavily, especially between Idris Elba and Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character in the movie, is this whole I don't trust her, I don't trust her. There's several scenes where it just got crazy, and especially and then also focusing on him and Aisha's relationship. They don't do that in the comic, at least in the issues that we've read. They do in the movie. They definitely have sex in the movie, a lot more than in the comic. I don't think they had sex at all in the comic that we read. If I remember.
What's his name?
They mentioned it.
Chris Evans' character was hitting on her at first.
Jensen tried to hit on her, yeah. So there's no the sex scenes and all that instant turning on. Like they tried to move the story fast because it's only like an hour and a half movie. So they tried to move the story fast. So we needed, because they're trying to gear towards, I guess, the movie audience would want answers like, who is Aisha really? What does she really want? So we had to move through that very quickly, and it was almost like instantaneous when he turns on her, when he finds out who her father really was and all that. So those elements of the movie I didn't like, versus where the comic I liked that they really showed us more of, what was going on in the current day without needing to explain all the past. And I also like Max not being a figure that you see and hear talk. And then, because I did not like Jason Patric's character in it.
No,
I mean,
so annoying.
He was a very annoying villain. I was like, this is a bad villain. This is not a good villain. Like,
what's up, man? Whose name I will not say. You're like Lord Voldemort over here. I can't say that name out loud. It's like Wolverine. What's up, buddy?
Because like when I'm sitting here after I watched the A-Team, and I was like, Patrick Wilson. Well, he's a good villain regardless, but he's a good villain in that movie. But because Patrick Wilson is the villain in the A-Team, and I was like, this guy was not good.
And this is Jason Patrick.
I know. Well, Patrick Wilson's
no. I'm saying like the names are so similar.
He's a good villain in the Watchmen.
Sergeant York. Never mind.
Yes, you're right. You're right. But yeah. So I think those are the biggest things that I liked from the comic more than I liked from the movie.
I think in the comic book, I like the whole espionage aspect a little more. And I like like you said, the mystery of Max, not knowing exactly, is he really part of the CIA? Is he really a person? Is it a figment of our imagination? I like the betrayal in the movie a little bit more.
Because they have more of an established relationship in the movie, it seems.
Yeah, and Idris Elba is such a charismatic character or actor that you just want to trust him.
Yep.
And then when the betrayal comes, either I forgot about it or I just didn't care. That I was like, oh, that actually worked. That kind of surprised me. That in the comics, it just kind of doesn't surprise you because the guy's kind of being an ass the whole time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I agree. But, and in addition to that, I have to agree with, like, in the comic, he does come off as just like an asshole that eventually betrays them. And you don't feel bad about it. I kind of felt bad about Idris Elba not making it at the end, but he still betrayed them at the end of the day. And maybe, I think I didn't like Chris Evans as much as I wanted to as Jensen. I think I preferred the comic book version of him too.
Yeah, in the comic book version, he had more of a character. That was the problem with the movie, I think. An hour and a half, that's what I mentioned that earlier. An hour and a half doesn't give you enough time when you have a big cast like this. You have a cast of 5 characters, 6 including your new character with Aisha, and you have to try to get to know them. They spend so much money on the soundtrack, it feels like.
They did. And some of the action sequences. I mean, they really tried hard with...
They did.
They threw a lot of action in there.
They did. They wanted... I mean, but nothing about this movie felt unique or... It stood out. And I hate to say it, but honestly, the comic, I felt the same way. It was one of the comics that I used to have that But there's a big following for The Losers. I know there's a lot of people that read comics that love that series. So I don't know. Man, this is a tough choice.
Yeah, this guy basically got shafted.
In the comic book, he really didn't say much.
He didn't. Yeah, he's a sniper. I guess they're supposed to be mysterious, but yeah.
Don't touch his hat. What's up, Greg Murdoch? How you doing, buddy? Don't touch that man's hat. Are you all arguing about what's better than what? Is my boy still?
What happened?
Don't start with him. He's entitled to his opinion, as wrong as it may be.
You're right. James Gunn probably would have done a good job of. He's good at creating a motley crew of characters and bringing them together. And maybe some of it could just be the casting too. Like Columbus Short, I love him in Stomp the Yard. I love him in.
You keep mentioning that damn movie. Go ahead, Stomp the Yard.
And I love him in This Christmas. It's a movie with Chris Brown before Chris Brown, started really getting bad. And Idris Elba's in it too. God, it's a great movie. Anyways, but after I read the comic, I imagined Pooch as a slightly older gentleman,
because he himself said I'm getting older.
I
used to be.
Yeah, so it didn't work well with me. I get it that Sylvan White did direct Stomp the Yard. He probably threw him a bone, but and he's a great actor. Stomp the Yard. Things happen to him, but it is the case.
I have no idea what you're talking about, so now I have to look it up after this. If I get a chance to live a life of comic books characters, which would you choose and why? What a deep philosophical question that we can get to a little bit later. Right now we're talking about The Losers, so give us just a minute.
Talk about The Losers, or finish giving our stuff.
Damn. Okay, I think for me, I'm gonna go with the comic book. At least it was more character driven than it was. It wasn't just huge explosions. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the comic. What about you?
I think in this instance, I would also go with the comic because, like I said, I like the way it was. I definitely like the way the story was driven in the comic versus in the movie. I felt like the movie, of course, I get it. They had to introduce very fast and they had to streamline the story, but at the same time, they kind of sacrificed certain elements that I enjoyed. I just did not like them adding Max. And someone had asked earlier if they thought if the writer had read the comic, and so the writers.
Good question.
So it's two writers, Peter Berg, who actually is the creator of the Friday Night Lights show, guys.
I love that show.
Yeah,
great show.
And James Vanderbilt, who wrote Zodiac and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So he's also
Dawson's Creek.
What?
That's not the guy from Dawson's Creek.
James Vanderbeek. But he's also the James Vanderbilt is also tapped to write an untitled Transformers and Beast Wars project. That's recent. Yeah, that's like a new one currently.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but so they did. So obviously you could tell that from some of the plot points, right? And some of the direction of the action, they took it directly out of the comic. So I think they definitely read it. And in fact, one of the articles I read, the art direction, like they wanted to enhance, like they tried to mimic the color schemes of the comic in the movie itself. That's why it has that kind of denser, darker colors with the sepia kind of tone. I would say sepia necessarily, but it has that kind of overlay to it that's very similar to the comic as well. They tried to mimic all that. So they definitely wanted to adhere to the comic in some aspects, but they were also trying to streamline it, I'm assuming, and make it more accessible for a main audience by making the villain a more formidable opponent, but out in the open. Whereas they should have made Wade, and they should have cast a better actor for Wade too, because Wade in the comics was kind of was really kind of scarier than he was in the movie. He just kind of sat around behind Max watching.
And they had a connection in the comic book. That's another thing I like. Is that Wade and the main character had a connection. Okay. I did find some of his lines funny when he was talking about cats can make 1,000 different sounds and a dog can only make 10. Cats, man, not to be trusted. Looks like Philip can quote this movie.
Yeah,
What was the dangle? You like the angle, the dangle of the angle?
You like the dangle? No.
That's it.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
that did crack me up. That did crack me up. It was in the elevator, all naked and stuff, or bottom.
Yeah, and the girls were like, looking at it. So I say the comic as well. And I really thought I liked the movie more, but because I had never read the comic, but after reading the comic, I'd have to say the comic.
All right. And for anybody that's watching, or if you're watching later, let us know which one you prefer, the comic or the movie. And more importantly, why?
Why?
That's it. Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button. Have a good night. I'm just kidding. Yeah. We got some things to talk about. Just really quick. I wanted to talk about
you want to talk about the
I do want to talk about some of the casting in Sandman. There was something else that just came out. Shooter, what's his name from Happy Gilmore? He was casted in. Damn, I just saw it. Where was it? Hey, wait, you're usually the one that tells me about it.
I had stuff, but I didn't know if you were going.
Why don't you go ahead and do your stuff, and then we'll talk about the stuff that I.
So, a couple things. So before we get started in the I'm sorry, Scotty G. Thank you for the super chat. In memory of Kentaro Miura, I have never read a manga, but after your tribute, I picked up Berserk volumes 1 through 7. Volume 1 is awesome.
Oh, dude, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, man, that one hit me. I had a rough last. That one hit me. I think I talked about this in my tribute to him, but it was one that I didn't think was gonna hit me that hard, but it was rough. It was rough. Yeah. It felt like saying goodbye to a friend, and it's not just saying goodbye to him, but it's saying goodbye to the characters that he created that have been a part of my life for over 2 decades. So thank you, Scotty. I hope you enjoy them. And when I get asked like if that's what do I think about like a story ending and if it's ever going to end, if somebody will pick it up, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that story never ending. I'm okay with volume 40 giving me that closure and the battle always continuing. So I'm good with that. All right.
So not to continue on into the sad news, but we do have a couple of passings. The first one is Samuel E. White. He was the voice of Sebastian in The Little Mermaid. So for those of you who might be like myself and loved that movie as a young girl, it is very sad to see that he had passed. Another one that just happened that was announced today. If any one of you have watched School of Rock, his name is Kevin Clark. He played the little kid on the drums. He died tragically at 32. He was riding his bike at 1 o'clock in the morning, and some 20-year-old girl hit him head on and killed him. So it wasn't like it wasn't anything like he wasn't in a car thing. He was just riding his bike and he was killed on the street. So a couple of passings there to bring up. It's very sad, especially when something like that happens. He's only 32 years old. He was very young. So it was very tragic. And again, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I just remember
were they having a reunion?
I think they've had one before, and I don't know if they plan on having another one in the future, but I've seen them do like mini reunions and things like that here and there. So with like Miranda, I forgot her last name, but I haven't seen anything recently.
Oh, okay, man. So
as far as that, let's talk about some other news. So everyone's mentioning it in the chat. So talking about casting, I don't know if you saw this, but this is what I saw right before we got online. Hey guys, we're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie finally. Whoa.
That was one. Oh man, and it's what's his name too?
And it is Aaron Taylor Johnson, buddy. What a plot twist.
Like, what? Can we please just leave Ralph Boner alone?
It's not the same guy. It's a different dude. This is the actual.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah, so the movie is supposed to come out in 2023. I believe the original writers of Iron Man are going to be helming the writing of it. Let's see. J.C. Chandor is on board to direct it. And this is announced by Sony, guys. So it is definitely, it's not a, we got this covered kind of gig. Let's see. And then, yes.
You all need to leave We Got This Covered alone. They need the clicks.
Yeah. Art Markov and Matt Holloway. They are the ones who are going to be penning the script for it. And of course, Avi Arad will be producing it as well, of course. But it's going to be coming out January 13th, 2023. So it already has a slated release date. So what do you think, Omar? Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven. I don't know if it was my first choice, but I've seen him with a lot of facial hair. I guess he can bring something to it.
I'm not digging it, but I could. But I mean, I could be. I could. It could go either way. Don't get me wrong. I think he's great, but when I think of Kraven the Hunter, I think of somebody a little bit older, more experience.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like experience that somebody that's been around. Tired of hunting animals. Let's go hunt some mints.
Yes, and that's I thought he'd be a little bit of an older character too. And I don't know if this has anything to do with them kind of making some of these characters younger for the sake of bringing them with how young Tom Holland's Spider-Man is supposed to be.
I swear to God, that's exactly what I thought. Clearly, that fake-ass accent that he had in Age of Ultron was, let's just cast that guy. He has a good accent for Kraven, because
maybe he has an accent coach, and he's gonna
I don't know, man.
He's got a long time. He's got a couple years. I mean, the press start filming next year, so they've got some time to work on it.
So here's two things. Number one, okay, that guy, like I said, not my first choice, not even my 10th choice, but whatever. Number two, we're getting a Kraven movie. Like who is? Like I don't even know people that would see. Like if you're a Marvel fan, a Marvel head, an MCU fan, I can't imagine very many people like going to see a villain movie without knowing who that villain is. Like it's hard enough to get people in the movie theaters to come and watch superhero movies because of all the superhero fatigue that's going on.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of feeling that now, especially with all these news of all these things that are happening. And like, it's going to be a hard thing to get people to go watch Kraven the Hunter. Like that doesn't like,
I'll think its fate will be more or less decided by however well Morbius does at the box office in 2022, early 2022. Because let's face it, Morbius is the same boat, right? He's a villain in the Marvel universe. Why are we making? Because Jared Leto's playing him. Is that why he's getting a movie? So I have a feeling that will play a part in. I'll be interested to see how this movie moves forward after that movie comes out. Because it's not Venom. Right? Venom's a different story. Because Venom can sometimes.
In a way, so is Morbius. Morbius is a different story too. He's not. He's your anti-hero like Venom. He's a guy that just happens to suck blood, but then he's like, oh wait, I can control my hunger. I want to be a good guy too. So I'm just gonna go and eat some bad guys instead.
Yeah.
And the Hunter's origin relies on, hey, let's go hunt Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just real. It's a really weird.
Which I'm also going to be interested. So I'm guessing it's like an origin story. But for me, the best part of Kraven is that relationship with. I mean, Kraven's Last Hunt is one of the most fantastic comics, and so to introduce him as this character and not bringing him into Spider-Man, which we might get Spider-Man in the movie. Who knows?
Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm kind of digging that, Michael Lemon. Like Ross from Friends would have been a better. He has a name. I think it's like David
Schwimmer.
Yeah. Sony really trying to make that Secret Six movie. So it's Sinister Six.
They will.
I would be good with a Secret Six movie for real, though.
Yeah, but they are.
Okay, so Shooter McCrae, the guy from that's Happy Gilmore. He's been casted in Secret Invasion. That's the movie.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had
a lot of kind of you can bring it up because he's been in a lot of movies where he kind of plays a semi kind of not so great character. But yeah, he's been casted. I don't know what his role is. Again, it's been undisclosed, right? He's been in a lot of
just like Emilia Clarke and just like there was
Olivia Colman. Yeah, we don't know what his thing is. Yeah, so he's Christopher McDonald is the actor's name, and he'll be joining Secret Invasion. This is definitely going to be one of those one and done series. I have a hard feeling with all the names that are being casted. I don't think it's going to be a recurring soon by any means, which is fine.
Well, and I wonder how you're going to lead into it. Like, how are you going to lead into Secret Invasion? Because something has to end in a cliffhanger going, oh man, they killed Nick Fury. Wait, he was a Skrull? Well, then how many of us have been Skrulls all along? Something like that.
Oh, goodness. Here it comes. It's the next Mephisto. Everyone's a Skrull.
Oh, yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
Yes.
Zoidberg. All right. What are the movies? New movies?
So, you know that Eternals trailer dropped earlier this week, like a full length trailer.
You know, I was so busy today that
did you watch it?
I finally got around to watching it because my brother came over yesterday and we hung out and he was like, "Hey, you want to watch it?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
But yeah, so it came out. A lot of people have mixed feelings on it.
We got like a Bollywood movie.
No, he plays Kumal.
Is it gonna be Bollywood?
Yeah, he's in his current form, I guess, in present day, he's a Bollywood actor. Yes, so you're gonna see him doing some Bollywood dancing. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. I'm excited. I'm excited to see him do it.
I don't know how I feel about Bollywood dancing.
I love him. I love that actor ever since Silicon Valley. So it's fine. Like I'm excited to see him in this 100%.
I don't know. It doesn't. Seeing a little bit more of the trailer, man, I want to see this thing that they Kevin Feige had said that this is, or maybe it was the director that said that this is the most unique Marvel movie.
No, Feige said it. Because he's talking about Chloe's Zhao.
So I wonder what it is, because from the trailer I see nothing. All the way until like when they're sitting around the table, like, so the Avengers are gone. I wonder who's going to lead them. Maybe I should lead. I mean, that's that Marvel type of quirky humor that I expect out of all their movies, and it feels like a Marvel movie.
A part of me thinks it's just by where they filmed it, where they filmed it, the landscape idea, because I could see
visually. I mean.
Visually, I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we've seen in previous Marvel films. It does give off more when watching Nomadland, Chloe Zhao's Oscar-winning movie. I can see a lot of the landscape, like the different vibes that I get from that. I can see that in the Eternals. So I just want to see the Celestials. I just want to see
I just want to see Apocalypse steal a celestial ship and get his little cameo.
Yeah. I just want to see how the heck this movie's going to tie into the rest of the MCU. That's all I want. And
they made it pretty clear that we've never interfered.
So they didn't interfere with anything. And that's their okay. People are going to ask questions. Why weren't these all-powerful beings there to help against Thanos in the beginning? Well, need something.
Because they just said it in they answered a question in the trailer. They have never interfered. There you go. There's
what's going to make them interfere now? Or are they really even going to? Because I think, I read a plot leak, so I get I know Neil Gaiman's run comes to mind when I read the plot leak, so we'll see what happens.
What? That's not even that memorable.
Well,
I think the Kaufman brothers. No, Charlie Knopf, like whatever.
Yeah, but. Yeah, so I'll be interested to see. I want to see another trailer for it, definitely. And we'll probably see. I'm expecting we'll see a new trailer for Black Widow when that comes out July 9th. We'll probably see a new trailer. And it's interesting. This comes around the heels of Cruella, which comes out in theaters this week. It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. Actually, heard pretty decent reviews of Cruella, which stars Emma Stone as the titular character, and the reviews so far have been pretty good for a movie about a villain. But, Maleficent, the first Maleficent, a lot of people enjoyed that too with Angelina Jolie. The second one, I don't think we need sequels to everything. But, this is going to be a really interesting movie. I think I'm still going to probably watch on Disney Plus. But I have a feeling that this is coming out ahead of that will be in theaters. So they wanted to make sure they had something to put on theaters alongside Cruella. I mean, as far as the trailer.
All I know is that Fast and the Furious Go to Space is going to bring everybody back to the movie theater.
Well, it already made money overseas.
I
So
told you.
it debuted overseas first. It already made money, but we'll see how it does. I think it'll be one. Well, Quiet Place 2 comes out this weekend, and we are going to see it this weekend. Me and my husband. I'm super excited about it. It'll be the first. Well, not be the first movie because we saw Ride the Last Dragon for our cousin's birthday party. But yeah, I'm super excited to see Quiet Place Part 2, and hoping that does well at the box office. I've heard some good reviews about it as well. Even though Emily Blunt won't be playing Sue Storm, according to her.
Jon Snow is an Eternal. He's not, man. He's playing Dane. He's playing the Black Knight. So very excited for that. He's
very excited.
Favorite Avenger.
He'll get his own movie at some point, maybe.
He's going to lead the Avengers. Him and Cersei are going to join. We're going to get the leather jacket years. That's just wishful thinking on my part. A lot of people have forgotten about Black Widow. Honestly, I think that's sort of true. And I don't know if that's going to come back and bite them in the butt. Look, it's Disney. It's Marvel, guys. They're going to make they're going to make a killing. It doesn't matter when they release it. But I think it probably would have been better to just do the digital last year. It's just
on digital.
They should have just bit the bullet. You know, it's one, and of course, you never knew they were holding. But holy crap, it's been over a year and a half, and this movie is finally coming out. Yes, Rob Stark is Icarus in the movie.
Yeah, he is an Eternal. One of the Stark brothers is an Eternal.
that is correct.
We have to wait. So when we're still in May, but when June hits, I feel like Disney is going to be in full force to push Black Widow. So let's not hold off too much. It's going to end up being in the foreground of people's minds soon. Disney's going to is going to push all the movies as a back seat. Like as far as any more Eternal stuff coming out, any more Shang-Chi stuff coming out, they're going to take a back seat because they're going to push, because they want the people to buy it on Disney Plus too. Because remember, it's not for free on Disney Plus like Soul was, or like Luca is going to be in June, the other Pixar movie. Which is kind of a shame that these Pixar movies are going straight to Disney for free when you look at the box office numbers, the movies doing the best at the box office right now are family movies. The Croods, Ride the Last Dragon is still in the top 5, even though it's, it didn't make a big killing opening day, but it was available for purchase or like rental on Disney Plus same day, and it's still in the top box office. Meanwhile, like all the other movies are kind of opening to, meager.
Are there restrictions in movie theaters? Like, are we still like 6 feet apart? Like, I really don't know.
It depends on the location and the place. Some places have restrictions, some places do not. So it just kind of depends. Some people are at more max capacity than others, so it just kind of depends on where they're at. I mean, here in Kentucky, like our pool's open this weekend, and by June 11th, our pools will have no capacity limit. And like our pool here in Georgetown has no reservation system, and I know how busy that thing gets. So we're gonna be packed of people, maybe vaccinated, maybe not, hanging out of the pool here in local Kentucky. So it kind of depends.
Big time, Lionheart. Omar, read my Q&A. The trailer of Last Night in Soho just dropped. What's the trailer? I saw a trailer with what is it? Gumdrops and milkshakes. It's like the John Wick, the lady version of John Wick with what's her name? The companion, Nebula, Karen
Gillan.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
It looks pretty fun. I mean, it really feels like a John Wick type of movie. Okay, so let's talk about this news drop today, and I'm just gonna share my thoughts, and I'd love to know what you all think, and of course Amanda what she thinks. So we have the new. I wish I could make this bigger, but this is as big as it gets. That's what she said. That's what he said. So this is the latest casting. We've seen the casting already for Dream. We've seen the casting for other characters, but here are some of the other characters. So some more of the Endless. This time around, one of the important things that they put in here were the pronouns that these characters, I think, are using, or maybe the actors. And that's become a common thing, though. Like when you're sending out, I've seen that happen before. When you're doing a work project and you send out an email like that, and you're putting pronouns in there. So I've seen that happen before.
Yes, I think it's the actors that they're talking about.
Okay, so it's nice to see Jenna Coleman back. She's playing Joanna Constantine, and I saw this up on Twitter. People were complaining that they're gender swapping. Is that what it's called? I think.
Yeah, gender swapping. Yeah,
they're gender swapping John Constantine, and no, that's not the case. Apparently, these people don't read.
Oh my goodness!
This is an ancestor of John Constantine that appeared in the early pages of Sandman. So he's from the 1700s. This is not.
I would recommend they read the comic first before they just accuse them of gender swapping.
Yeah, she was around like in the early 1800s, late 1700s, but
yeah.
Okay. So here are all the characters. Patton Oswalt.
That was kind of shocked me.
The big one that I've seen a lot of people complain about is the lady that's playing Death.
Okay.
And to me, I don't know where I stand yet. I think I'm in the.
Did you have a certain?
I kind of
looks like.
Yes, like the character of Death is very iconic in DC. The character of Death is this cute goth girl that is actually based on a real person. Like visually, she's based on a real person. So I kind of wish they had kept her like that, like the way the pale skin and the kind of like the way her brother Dream looks,
kind of like a goth chick.
So I don't know if this is something like they're doing because it's like. And here's the thing I'm gonna say. I'm not saying like this is. There are people that are calling this woke, and I mean, you can't call Sandman woke if you've not read it. Like that's what it is. Like, no kidding. It is so good though. But anyway, my issue is that she is a very iconic character that I wish they had kept the same.
I think a lot of people felt that way about like Starfire when they made her black in the
and that didn't bother me, and I don't care. I think this is the only time because I think of her as an iconic character the way that she looked. Unless they're doing what I'm hoping is that they're actually doing this as part of the story and not just pandering. Because I can see people being upset because it does feel like pandering if you're just gonna make a character black instead of the way that she is in the comics. So everybody else though, I'm really good with whoever that Mason Alexander is for Desire. That's perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they look great. Yeah, I agree.
And Stephen Fry.
Yes, Stephen Fry, David Thewlis. Give me those two British actors any day of the week. I love them both. They're both fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, I love to see the name Lita Hall here, which I mean that's such an obscure character that shows up in the pages of Sandman, but also in Infinity Inc. But the characters that are showing up here gives me hope that they have a long game planned.
Yes,
and I mean it's a pretty impressive cast. Like
it is. I mean, keep in mind Tom Sturridge's Dream, which
visually, I'm sorry. Let me restate that because I have no idea how most of these people are. Visually,
I'm all be parallel actors. We don't know.
Jason Alexander is designed. Stop it.
But I mean, Tom Sturridge is playing Dream. I think Gwendolyn Christie is Lucifer, which I think she will kill in that role. So it's shaping up to be it looks like a good cast.
I don't know how I feel about her. The character is very David Bowie like, so I don't know how I feel about her. But this is going to be a Netflix show, which kind of worries me too because it's Netflix. I was hoping it would be an HBO thing.
Netflix doesn't have. They give them free creative control. I mean, Netflix doesn't care. They're not going to be like Warner Brothers or anyone like that, where they're going to put their finger in everything to make sure they put their stamp on it. So there is a good thing there.
James, Joey from Friends is playing the next door neighbor. What? Cyclops better than Wolverine? I've honestly never heard of Sandman until today. I thought they were talking about the Spider-Man film. You can't be serious, man.
Yeah.
Netflix reputation has gone down. It's the reputation for canceling things, not so much
Yeah, because they still have some high quality stuff. So they've been in an effort to just push more original content out. Because keep in mind they're losing content, which is another big story. The fact that Amazon just did actually buy MGM and all of its properties, but Netflix is losing a lot of the other IPs. So they're having to rely more on throwing original content into their streaming service. And I think that can come at a cost sometimes. That's why we're getting so many reality TV shows and competitions and things like that on Netflix, is because those are cheap and easy to make, and they can fill our libraries up with them when they're not getting the rest of the other IPs from Disney and MGM and Sony. And well, they have a deal with Sony, so they will get Sony movies, but Warner Brothers, I mean, it makes it a little hard. I'll tell you that much.
So I was cruising the internet trying to find the picture, but here it is. So this is who Death is based on, and this is Cinnamon Hadley, who was somebody that the artist knew, and sadly she passed away a couple of years ago when I think Neil Gaiman took up some money for her. Like they were auctioning off original artwork and stuff. But so she is based on a real person, like visually, right? Because Neil Gaiman had no idea what he wanted her to look like. So, but anyway, that's the only gripe I have about the cast. I'm open to watch it though. You know, it's Sandman. Even though I still think that this is one that works better in comics, but I'll give it a shot. And then we can do was it better than the comics?
There we go. And that'll be a fun episode to do.
I've been in this business for 25 years. It has wreaked havoc on my hair.
That was me. Sorry. I was opening up an article and all of a sudden an ad with Jennifer Lopez played. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to do if we get a chance to do it, is when that comes out.
Right? Perfect for Lucifer. Omar, I think the only reason why
Tilda was great as
pursued
Michael
because of her age, and then no doubt seeking an actress young enough, unoccupied, right? Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Well,
Legacy, I don't trust Netflix. You said it got picked up for a second season though, right?
I believe so. And keep in mind, we're still getting more Mark Miller World properties as well, and I just don't know.
Oh,
yeah. See, every time you open up an article, it's hard to not do.
Oh, that was my wife playing video games upstairs. So that's we saw that. We saw the Eternals trailer. What else was there? There was somebody else. There was something else that was casted. Oh, Omar, Q Leo's A. Thank you, Omar. Read my Q&A. All right, what we got, Leo? Hey, Omar, you should watch Bridgerton for your birthday. You want me to watch Bridgerton?
It is a great TV show.
Can't you throw me something like Hell's Kitchen or something I normally don't watch? Okay. Omar, Sugarman's comment. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you. All the good looking out.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Tomorrow War trailer came out today with Chris Pratt. A first look of the Uncharted movie by chance during a video for Sony.
Looks so not like the video game. What's his name? Doesn't even have a mustache.
I don't know why. It's just I can't, based on one image, which is really weird because it's such a weird image to put out. It wasn't even an image they weren't trying to promote Uncharted. It just happened in a video where they were talking about innovation, and they threw that clip in there. Which is weird because they haven't even showed any other first looks. Well, we had a couple of them of first looks of Tom Holland in the movie, but not a lot. So it was really weird to see that. So I'm not gonna hold judgment on that movie just based off of that, because I don't think that was the intention.
I have more faith in Tom Holland than anyone I know, but
Mark Wahlberg. I like Mark Wahlberg too.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah.
It depends on the role.
Departed. So I mean,
he was phenomenal in The Happening.
Yeah. Okay. Well, The Happening is okay. He was good at being for what he had to be in The Happening. He was great.
What? All you have to say is no, Mark. No. Okay. Oh, what was it? Damn it! I just thought of what it was. Let me look really quick. Oh, the big buyouts. So did we talk a little bit about that last week? The DC thing.
Well, we talked, because that's been a done deal. The Discovery thing we talked about,
and then today is the Warner Brothers or MGM, right?
MGM was, I just mentioned, Amazon bought MGM for a large sum of money, which, it's interesting when you think about all these properties now. With AT&T had Warner Media, but now Discovery, they essentially sold it to Discovery TV, which is their own kind of thing, and now they're gonna form their own conglomerate, right? So you have that. Disney now owns Fox and numerous other properties. Sony has a deal with Netflix, but they haven't bought them officially. But God knows it's only a matter of time before someone buys Sony. It just feels like all of our movie studios are being bought up by tech companies, which is a little alarming. But when tech companies are now in the streaming wars or in the streaming business, they are doing it because they need the IP, essentially, is why they're doing it. So now Amazon has access to James Bond and the like. So is Universal still holding strong? Does anyone own Universal yet? I don't think so.
What does Universal have besides the Monster franchise, which they try to do that? They try
that's Jurassic Park, that franchise. They have the Jurassic Park franchise. That's also Universal as well. So they also have that. I was trying to think. They have some other things, but yeah, $8.45 billion.
Where's this money coming from, man? Amazon. This is why they're trying to stop all the password sharing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what this means is that they're also going to then get everything from their Epix cable channel, which made Fargo, Vikings, and Shark Tank. So that stuff will be
pulled from Hulu.
At some point, yes. I mean, once the contract's up, it'll be pulled from Hulu. It'll have to. I'm assuming they will at some point.
Universal owns is Fast and the Furious really Universal? I really don't know that.
Yeah.
I can see cinema scaling down and streaming TV getting bigger. Interesting, yeah.
I hope it's not the case because there is something to be said about going to a theater to see.
Dude, I'm so ready to go back. I don't know. Maybe I'm not kidding. It might be Fast and the Stupid Furious Goes to Space that I go see. Basically, Amazon can reboot Stargate and RoboCop.
And who says they won't do it?
Let's not reboot RoboCop. That movie's perfect. Comcast owns Universal. Okay. So if Comcast owns Universal, they're sitting on money. They're okay for now.
So they're good right now. But yeah, it's crazy. And then speaking of theaters, a Chinese investment company pulled out all of their stock shares for AMC, which is a big deal for the likes of having a foreign investment company having a say in distribution, right, of projects. But it's also a bigger entity of where China is putting more of their money into their own movies and pulling out money from US made films. So all these so in the next few years, what's really going to be interesting is, now we're getting back to the pandemic whatever the new normal is here in the States and in different and worldwide. For many of these movies we talk about, Avengers Endgame, Venom, etc., they get these big, the big, news breaking, money making kind of things, because let's face it, they're getting that money from China. But when China is focusing more on their movies, not so much on US, and we already see they don't have Shang-Chi and Eternals on their distribution list, it makes you wonder. And we, as far as that's concerned,
I don't think they have
American cinema.
I get the Eternals, right? Because the lady that made the Eternals made some strong comments, and China stands up as an entire country and says, okay, banned. What about it? Shang-Chi.
Well, I think it has to do with just the representation of the culture, because the same reason why Mulan was also not shown in China as well. Yeah, I think it has something to do with
the animated cartoon or the new one.
No, the new one. They didn't. That was not allowed to be shown in China either. The one that came out, the live action one. Yeah. So, and Disney, as a surprise, but it's it's gonna be interesting to see. We're not, these $1 billion.
That's what happens with most statements. They get taken out of context and it blows up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's what happens. So representation, huh? And here in America, people are cheering about the representation of Asian culture in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Over there, they're not digging it because they have like, wait, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic because
That's a whole other topic we get into.
I really don't. No dragon, no Eddie Murphy dragon, man.
Yeah.
No China. Release the Eddie Murphy cut. That was a good trend we had.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting it'll be really interesting to see what the future of these big worldwide domestic or worldwide grosses that we're seeing with these billion-dollar stuff, what it's going to look like. Like, for instance, when Avatar 2 finally hits theaters.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Avatar and Avatar 3 filming back to back.
Yes. Yeah, and James, you're right. They just announced a new Evil Dead movie coming to HBO Max with Sam Raimi, and I believe Bruce Campbell is set to return in that as well, which is exciting.
Oh, so
when is Sam Raimi of time? I thought he was directing Doctor Strange, but I guess Doctor Strange has already finished filming. So
this is Sam Raimi. He was knocking them out. So yeah. Is he going to go back to the original idea about having the main girl from the remake Evil Dead team
I don't know.
With, what's his name? Ash? Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. I don't know actually what the idea is. It's just a matter of that's what they're planning on doing. I'll be interested to see as it progresses. It's going to be Evil Dead 4 is what it's going to be. Evil Dead Rise is what it's going to be called.
So we got Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, the Evil Dead remake, and then the Evil Dead TV show that leads into this. Maybe I hope because
I think so.
I hope it's not a remake. Evil Dead Rise. I'm in. I'm glad somebody gave him money. And I also saw this, and it makes me look. But here's the thing. Where's it at? It's from Leo, and so it's your boy Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah, I saw that they're going to do. I don't know more Willy Wonka.
I mean, I wasn't even like I did not go see Willy Wonka with what's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with
yeah,
just because Gene Wilder's version is my Willy Wonka and it's the perfect Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And all these prequels, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously a market for it if people watch it. I mean, I guess people were demanding Willy Wonka come back. Maybe.
I don't think that. I think that people have these IPs. They need to use them to maintain the rights. So what can we do with these IPs to maintain the rights?
Stick.
Yes. What haven't we done yet? Oh, a prequel. There we go. We got to see a little bit of Willy Wonka's backstory in Chocolate Factory with his weird dentist dad. So maybe we can expand upon that.
I'm not seeing it. Raphael, no, I'm not into milking Evil Dead. I'll tell you what though, man, the Evil Dead series I really enjoyed. It had Bruce Campbell and it also had Xena in it. Not her, but
yes.
Thank you. She's gorgeous, still gorgeous. I dug it, man. It was really fun, especially that first episode. I'm excited, dude. And if it's Sam Raimi having fun with his franchise again, I'm good. Not Spider-Man 3. I'm good with Sam Raimi going back to his roots. That would be. Did John Cena make a comment about China too?
Yeah, he did. He apologized.
These Marvel movies. Oh, okay, wait, no, he's not Marvel. He's
no, it was for Suicide Squad. Yeah, he called Taiwan a country, and in an interview, and that infuriated Chinese nationalists.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, they need to understand that us Americans are ignorant. So if Taiwan is not a country,
I mean,
we're just ignorant people. That's
just not like that's the representation of his public education, not really.
Yeah, that's just like Joe Biden. We need to do better now because
nostalgia's a hell of a
years.
Roots were awesome indie low budget movie. This has nothing of his roots, dude. I know, but like Spider-Man 1 was solid though, and that was no low budget. He had money, so when you give the man money, he's still able to make some good movies or enjoyable movies, right? I get it. I also enjoyed the first two. Army of Darkness is a movie I quote all the time. I love it, but I think there's an actual true passion in there. There's a true love for these things, not just him, but also Bruce Campbell. They go back to this character all the time. even though they keep getting canceled or told no. So I think it's the one thing I'd love to see him go back to Darkman. Honestly, with not Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Don't forget Knives Out. See, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, man.
Yeah.
I was really excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got quite a cast lined up for it, so I'll be interested to see what happens. And we could also talk about the Taika Waititi, Tessa Thompson, and Rita Ora kiss cuddling session that everyone captured over the weekend, which was just an interesting turn of events for everyone. But I don't know what that.
Obviously, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Taika Waititi. Is this a movie? What is
No,
it?
they were at some function. They were at some function hanging out, and there's they're all seated. I don't know if it was a game or something like that. And I think Taika Waititi's dating Rita Ora, and the paparazzi caught them they're all stood. Rita Ora, she's a singer.
Let me see what she looks like.
Okay. And they're all snuggling. They're all snuggling, and then there's images of them kissing each other, and it was a whole big thing. And they're like, "Wait, is Taika Waititi in a polygamous relationship with Rita Ora, Tessa Thompson?" It's a whole thing. I don't know what it is, but good for them if that's the case. I mean,
it's these Hollywood folks, man. They get crazy.
Yes. James, quick question. I've watched the first episode so far.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't. I mean, I think I'm gonna need to watch a little bit more before I'm truly invested in it.
Showed up.
Yeah, not yet. He hasn't. He wasn't in the first one. Just Iron Man. There are some elements I definitely liked about that plot of the first episode, so I'll keep watching it. But I think I need a little bit more to be convinced. Also saw Army of the Dead this weekend. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that, Omar. But I
watched the first half with Lydia.
That was a movie.
try to wrap it up tonight. Pretty interesting. Okay, so I know we talked about this, but we do talk a lot about things. But as I'm watching it, I see what's her name, Tig. What is her name?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? She looks like she's either a horrible actress and should not be acting, because none of these characters are interacting with her. And I forgot that she was did reshots with just her and the other lady, and that's it. And then green screened everything else to take out what's his name from the movie, which was a really weird decision, because the end product just looks, I don't know, odd. The cuts are odd, and it's it's Zack Snyder, right? I get it that he's gonna have a lot of weird cuts anyway, and a lot of interesting decisions.
Yeah,
it's okay so far. I mean, it's just okay. What did Lionheart say? Lionheart
said, "Read my Q&A should be a T-shirt, Omar." Oops, nope, that's Tig Notaro. But yeah, Lionheart says that it should be for our sake. It should be.
Leo, I'm gonna buy one for Leo. It's Asgardian love, baby. That's right.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on the Army of the Dead when all said and done. So
Bezos can publish the outtakes from The Apprentice. Is that a question?
I guess he can now.
With that buyout, yeah.
Yeah, I guess he can now. Wasn't that exciting for him?
Yeah.
But
Sir Floppy Dog still mad. I'm trying to read this comment seriously, because that icon's cracking me up. Is that Onyx? Do I know my
Onyx? Okay. It does look like Onyx.
Still mad. Big Dave Gab forgot to publish Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Collection Volume 8. Sadly, I think those got canceled. So hopefully, the omnibus will sell well, and they'll make some kind of other collected editions for the stuff.
That's true.
They did the same thing they did to Leo, the Lost Galaxy Red Ranger, and Forever Red Power Ranger. Okay, yeah. I actually know that because my friend Ben is a huge Power Rangers fan. So yeah, the green screen adding a character, it never works. They should have just cut her. Well, no, they can't cut her character out because she's a helicopter.
Yeah, she was a helicopter. They needed her until she, died.
Dude, okay, so here's the thing, though. I don't know. I get why they cut him out. This is sexual harassment allegations, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that dude was never funny. So I don't even know why he was getting roles to begin with.
That is a great question.
But
I didn't like him on the. I didn't even like Whitney on the Whitney show. I didn't like any of that. So I was like, I don't get this.
Whitney Cummings is funny. I thought she was funny. I never saw the Whitney show, but I mean, if you filmed this thing already, just get it out. You filmed this. This was edited before all this came out. Yes, it's shitty timing, but it beats the hell out of, okay, let's spend some more money throwing someone in that doesn't really work. Like, that stuff never works. Like, I don't care how many times they've tried it. What is your next comic book versus movie show, and when are we doing it, Amanda?
Well, that is this coming Wednesday. Is that the 2nd?
I believe it is. I believe it is the 2nd of the month.
Yeah, because I had my anatomy scan for my baby that day. Yeah. So it is June 2nd, and we are doing the first Men in Black movie with the first 3 issues of the Men in Black comic. Yes, we found those. So yes, we'll be reading those because that is what the Men in Black original movie is based off of, the first 3 issues of the Men in Black comic. So prepare for some Big Willie style next week.
Oh boy.
Because I will definitely be bringing that out.
Big Willie, I
may or may not do the head nod dance. I may or may not sing the song, but we will definitely talk about the comic versus the movie. I'm really anxious for this one because so far that would be the oldest comic we probably would have read at this point for our comic versus movie.
Yeah, and
early 90s.
More. And if you all have suggestions, by all means, please leave them in the comment section or leave them in the chat. Because these are things, we like doing. And if we need to take a break, we go back for, was it really that bad? Will you be suiting up for Men in Black? Man, you're gonna be lucky if I wear sunglasses.
Oh, Luis, nice suits don't fit me right now. I have a baby growing inside me, so you're not gonna get that from me. I haven't worn a suit since before the pandemic.
Max, let me tell you some Max, okay? Big Willie, what he was doing, it's called sampling, okay? It's not a straight up ripoff.
Yeah.
2 of us, that was straight up sampling.
It's just sampling. I mean,
summertime, straight up sampling. Pretty much any song, Miami, straight up sampling. Just saying.
Everyone samples. Oh, please. Gold Digger had sampling.
Sampling.
They're just sampling.
There's only 5 songs. There's only been 5 songs. That's it. Everything else. We're sampling 5 songs since the beginning of time.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is a wonderful idea. You should do. Was it better than a comic or movie? Conan the Barbarian. Yeah. I wonder which comic though. I mean, it's got to be something from Roy Thomas. That's a good idea. I'm gonna throw that in there. Yeah.
If you research it,
it isn't sampling when you copy a melody. I know. I was being sarcastic. That's always the excuse the artists tell you. It's sampling.
Yeah.
The best interview that I ever saw was Vanilla Ice with Ice Baby. I can't remember what show it was, where he was like, no, really, like if you think about it, mine goes dun 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 dun. Theirs go dun 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 dun. It's the same thing, man. Dude, it's a clip out there. I think it's on YouTube. Him explaining like how it works. Oh, it's hilarious. But on that note, thank you all for joining us. And honestly, this is true. This is really quick. This is true. If he pays for the license, then it's okay. Yeah. Absolutely. And if it's owned by the studio, if the studio already has rights to the songs, there you go. Oh, get the I'm gonna boot your ass out of here. No, I don't even listen to
Omar. I know Omar stopped listening to music once the 1990s hit. And then everything before that, if it's 80s, he's listed. That's his playlist. Anything after that, 90s and onward, I don't think he.
Yeah, you done with the old man comments?
Yeah, I'm wrong from you just don't care for the 90s and the early 2000s.
The 90s sound like one big damn song. Like anyway, they had a couple of good. Anyway, that's a whole other
stuff. Grunge came out. I mean, you had some great. Just different genres.
Grunge killed the long-haired metal days. I do love, dude. I listen to Gus theme. God bless.
Cullen said, "Age is no excuse," is what Cullen said.
All right, fair enough. I listen to some things that are new from time to time. That's it.
I try not to limit myself either, though I'll tell you sometimes it's hard with the
Yeah, but Amanda's like she's already hating on the new like the younger musicians.
You have Olivia Rodrigo.
You don't give the respect to Miley Cyrus. You disrespected her when I said she's one of our greatest vocalists. You were like, no, don't see it.
No, you said she was one of the greatest like songwriters.
I said she's got a huge range. Artist. I said artist.
Artist. And I was like, I don't know about that, but okay. Oh. Yeah, she's a great voice, but overall, I don't know if she's a great artist of all time. Yeah. Not all of her songs are club bangers or whatever they need to be
club bangers.
I don't know.
Do that. Stardust book versus movie. I mean, man, now you're asking me to read a book, Leo.
That's a whole book, Leo. I don't know if Omar has the time.
I ain't got time, Leo. Give me the cliff notes. Actually, wait. I've read Stardust. I just don't remember.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And it's an awesome. That's one that I got signed by Neil Gaiman, and it's an awesome. I love that movie. That Stardust movie is great.
Yeah, it is. I actually love it.
Cyrus is gross. Is this how I'm gonna get canceled because I like Miley Cyrus? Really, guys?
Yeah, it'll be really hard for me to. If we did Stardust, I don't know because I love that movie. I mean, Charlie Cox before his Daredevil with that hair. Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro's character in that movie is awesome.
Michelle Pfeiffer kills it. I mean, Claire Danes is the star is fine, but
first of all, Batman is a 6.
Henry Cavill's in it. Even Henry Cavill's in it.
Who does he play?
He plays the suitor for the girl that Charlie Cox's Tristan loves in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, even Henry Cavill's in that movie. It's a great movie.
It's a phenomenal movie. I love it.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Greg. Oh, Snowpiercer's a good one. Both
yeah, that's a good one too.
I really like the movie and I love the comic. Coraline, the movie versus the graphic novel. My daughter loves that movie.
My daughter loves that movie too.
Great suggestions.
She gets freaked out a little bit by the button eyes, but she loves.
Well, button eyes used to freak Lydia out too, and then she got.
Yeah, Linda gets freaked out by it, but she's good. I hope Corey's playing Resident Evil: The Village right now, so we'll see it.
So the one with the big lady.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, man. People all thirsty all over that big lady on the.
They really are. But all right, guys. So we'll be back next week with Men in Black, the comic versus the movie, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday. So definitely make Max. That would be very long to do the Bible.
No, we'd only have to read half. Remember?
That's true.
Because it's the New Testament.
It's really only like what the Book of Matthew. So I think we could be like.
I'm not doing that.
Anyways, so
Fountain did have a graphic novel, but that's what he does with most of his movies.
Yeah.
Yep. It was I think there's only 3 issues of what Amanda found.
Yeah.
Scotty G signing us off.
Yes. Good night, Scotty. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and remember to follow us on all of our social media at nearmintcon. Remember to check us out on Patreon if you want to support us for $1 a month or more. Omar will not only do your taxes, do your dishes, and wash your clothes, but he may also.
Now we're gonna get extra racist. All right.
Also,
what else am I doing?
He also read you a bedtime story of your choosing, whichever you'd want.
No.
Anything, even if it's like sexy vampire fanfic.
I'm not gonna do that. Shut up.
If you want to buy some cool Near Make Edition merchandise, make sure to check it out in our spread shop. You can find the link in the description below.
Not really, but it will be.
Not yet, but it will be. And as always, guys, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint. Have a good evening, good journey, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
You hit end, don't you? You want me to hit